Good evening and welcome to PM Express. Tonight we are talking about the New Patriotic Party. In the next few days, delegates of this main opposition political party will be electing their next Flagbearer, a presidential candidate they will hope can revive their fortunes in 2028. It's not going to be easy, and it is a field of 5 individuals who are going to be vying on that day, on the Saturday, for the votes of these delegates. I have one of the contenders with me tonight, and this is the home stretch. They say finish hard, and he's trying to do exactly that. Let's see how it's been for him and his own aspirations ahead of the polls. Kwabena Agyepong is my guest on PM Express tonight. Kwabena, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure,
and I'm grateful to have you on the show.
I'm very happy to be given this platform.
Yes. So how has it been? You've campaigned before to lead the party at various levels. Is it different campaigning to be its overall flag bearer?
It is, because in 2007, when I did my first stint, in those days the Electoral College was very small, just the 10 executives in each of the 230 constituencies. Now we've had an expansion using 5 polling station executives in the 40,000 polling stations around the country, and now we've added the former executives. So we're looking at something around 220,000 delegates. So it's a big field. And it's been very challenging, especially for some of us.
What's been the most challenging part?
Just reaching out to them. Reaching out. You go to a constituency, some of the constituencies are as many as 1,500. And you know what has become the niche now. You need to provide a little transport. And even if you can manage a modest 100 CDs, that amounts to 150,000. You multiply that in one constituency, so you multiply that by 276, and it is really huge. So it's not very simple. It's a difficult one. The traveling around the country and all that. It's very stressful, but it's something I've done from 1992, so I'm used to it. Again, this is the largest electoral college. I do believe, yes, it makes people a bit more appreciative of the process. It gives us an opportunity to go down to the base of our party and express ourselves and communicate with them. So that's what I've been doing.
So clearly it's been challenging.
Yeah.
It's taking a toll on you financially.
Of course.
I mean, and you're not a man of infinite means.
Not at all. No, I'm a very modest person, and so, of course, but I've got a lot of good people who believe in my political philosophy, who are supporting and helping. Especially when you have an arena where polls are being orchestrated in a certain way to make it seem as if it's only 2 people who have a chance. I am an eternal optimist, and I always believe that the real poll will be on the 31st of January. And at the end of the day, I mean, polls are put together to give governments and politicians an idea of the impact of their policies and the like, you know. And it costs a lot of money to do polls, so I'm surprised that certain pollsters can virtually give you weekly polls. You know, to travel around 276 constituencies and administer proper questionnaires and get a proper sample size, that must cost some money. So I'm beginning to feel that this is psychological operations, you know, calculated to rather fashion the thinking and the direction of the delegates rather than an expression of their preference for now. So yes, I don't dismiss them. But at the end of the day, I'm a very focused person. I believe in an election. It's not like a football game. You know, it's either you win or you do not win. And you have to prepare yourself emotionally for either outcome, which is what I have done. And I do this because the focus of my campaign, and I've said it to the delegates, that 31st January is about the soul of the MPP. I believe that the trajectory that we are on, in fact, the country at large, is not a good one. It's not a sustainable one. You know, this country has now been gripped by individualism, materialism, you know, and I think no nations have developed with that kind of mindset. So we need a drastic departure from what we have been used in the past. I think we need a recalibration of what we believe party politics and governance should be. I've always thrived on what I call the triple S doctrine: service, sacrifice, and selflessness. And for me, I thank God I lived through the period of the transition in 1992. You know, so I saw the elders of our party who gave their all, sacrificed their lives, their resources, to support democracy in this country. So this close to 4 decades of democracy, it gets to a point that we have to really sit back and reflect and ask ourselves whether we have done so well, whether we have achieved what we set out to do, even as a country from independence. So I believe the time is ripe now to usher in a new dawn, a new politician, a new Ghanaian, because I think that Ghanaians have spoiled politicians. Ghanaians have become enablers. When you have a position of authority, people aggregate around you and urge you on, not to do the right thing sometimes. And sycophancy and hero worshipping has become an enterprise in Ghana, Evans. I want to see political leaders surround themselves with right-thinking, public-spirited individuals and patriots who can look them in the eye and say, Mr. President, I think where we are going is a bit slippery. Can we change direction? You know, not all yes-men, hero-worshipping leaders in this country. I think that has become the biggest concern for me. And I consider myself a bridge between the leaders I saw in 1992, the likes of B.J. Darocha, Dubois, Jenim Boateng, Stephen Kriku, CEO Nyano. I mean, selfless people, Amesimeku, and the rest. And today's politician, and I believe I recognize myself that I can be the hope for the future of politics in this country.
But we'll circle back to the polls and just some of the issues around the campaigning. And you say that you describe it as orchestrated, the poll.
A lot of it.
Why do you say that?
Because the figures are so different. I mean, you can't have a poll showing one candidate on 73. Then within 2 weeks, the same candidate is on 52. Then another poll, he's now on 38. Then the one who was on 22 is now on 73. It's completely chaotic. And I'm disappointed, especially in academia. I've seen some lecturers, and if they are really worth their salt, they should be doing the things properly. I did engineering.
What makes you think it's not properly done?
Where is the methodology? Where is the time? I mean, you cannot do polls every week. What architecture do they have in place that gives them a reliable poll every week? It costs money. Who is financing all these polls? But anyway, I mean, like I said, I don't want us to spend too much time.
Are you doing polls yourself?
No, I don't.
But are you doing any research to understand whether your message is getting traction?
I've been around long enough to know the political temperature, the heartbeat of our country.
What is the political temperature?
I think that the party people were disappointed in us, and that's how come 2 million of our supporters did not turn up in the 2024 elections. They are sending us a message as a political party that it's time for us to have a drastic departure from what we have been used to for the last 2 decades. It is for us to imbibe it as a people, and it is for them. And I kept telling them, this election is not only about selecting the leader. It's about the battle for the soul of our party, the virtues, the values and the principles that anchored the foundation of this party in times of difficulty.
Have those been lost?
A lot of it. A lot
really?
of it. Yes.
In what way specifically would you say?
Well, I mean, today, I mean, in those days, I remember as young people, I mean, we were eager to go out there and do things for the party. And we never expected anything, any reward, you know. And that's the kind of thing I want to inculcate in the new generation.
Of party supporters?
Party supporters, Ghanaians, and everyone. You know, generations unborn. I feel it's a sense of duty for me, because I saw these old men, the likes of A.K. Deku, Moru Salifu, Alhaji Bin Sali, you know, they have no time for materialism. You know, Professor Dubois, I mean, he's not interested in money and that kind of stuff. They were principled people. I want the Ghanaian youth to understand, Evans, that you can live a fulfilled life without being rich, and that there should be pride in serving your country.
How do you do that?
Say it again.
How do you live a fulfilled life without being rich?
Well, they use me as an example. I'm not rich by any means. I've been sidelined.
But you're comfortable.
Because you are modest. You have what I call the spirit of contentment. That the little that the Almighty God gives you.
You don't have little.
I'm not by any means rich. Okay, I'm not a pauper, but I'm not by any means rich.
You're definitely above middle class.
And I don't know what you refer to as middle class, but at the end of the day, all I'm trying to say, that this country cannot be the wild, wild west, where it is a scramble for money. We should stop that. That we go into government to serve. In Chi would say, you understand? You know, so it's very important that we begin as political leaders by our own actions, not just the words, by our own actions to communicate same to the Ghanaian people. So when we tell the Ghanaian people that there's austerity, let's tighten our belt, we should tighten ours harder so that the Ghanaian on the street will understand and identify with the struggle of government. But what do I see? I mean, there are things that I detest. Me. If you are a minister, I lived in East Legon when I was press secretary. I continue to live there. A house that I built with my own sweat as a civil engineer. And I never chose to go and live in government accommodation. I would wake up early and make sure I get to the castle before the president gets there by 9. You understand? There was a lot of traffic, of course, now it's a bit worse, you know, but I never used an outrider. There was discipline. Now every Tom, Dick, and Harry, it has become a badge of honor. Even at 10 p.m. when people are going to sleep, you have motor ride when there's no traffic. President Agyepong put that stop to that the day I'm elected. You know, we need to understand that we have to live like Ghanaians. If you are a minister or a government appointee, you are there to do a job. The impression, Evans, is created that you are given a job as a reward, that you are, somebody said, no contribution, no chop. This chopping mentality that people take into government, we've got to wipe it out from our lexicon. It's important that we rebuild ourselves, we change our attitude as Ghanaians, as politicians, and then inspire the youth. Because right now, their psyche has been damaged about how it is to serve selflessly your country. Everybody thinks that, no, nobody's prepared to sacrifice. But those of us, in 1992, I was barely 30 years, Evans. I had just finished university, young civil engineer, working at Ghana Highway Authority. But I was prepared to sacrifice my career for the party. I didn't expect anything in return.
Within the MPP itself, how do you restore these values? What are you proposing to do?
By leading.
If you win.
Well, I mean, most people know who I am, the values I espouse. They know I'm a disciplinarian. I'm not one who will tinker with the treasury. I don't believe in that. Once you set the good examples, Ghanaians are law-abiding. Even they are very law-abiding, but they can.
We see the lawlessness on our streets
because we don't add a strong penal regime to flouting of regulations.
So in the party, you're going to crack the whip in the party.
Not only in the party, in the country. If you listen to my 6-point plan, I talked about that. You understand? Enforcing regulations.
Campaign and messages to the delegates.
Yes,
because you need to win that before you.
Well, it doesn't matter. I don't think they are they are mutually exclusive. I don't think the two. That's why I was expecting.
You think this message resonates with the delegates?
I'm telling you, a lot of people have called me and said, Kwabena, wow, this is what you intend to do when you become. Yes, many delegates. Somebody called me that he's arriving in Ghana as a delegate from outside, and he watched me yesterday, and he's going to vote for me because of some of the things that I said. Especially having a small government and effective administration and making sure that there's value for money.
Let's walk through some of them. You launched it yesterday.
Yeah.
The six pillars. Yeah. Let's start with what you were on about fiscal discipline and value of money.
That's right.
Because economy has always been the bane. We've gone to the IMF many times. You want to prioritize completing existing projects before starting new ones. Curbing wasteful spending.
That's right.
Institutionalizing a maintenance culture across government projects and agencies. Easier said than done, is it not? And especially when we talk about wasteful spending. Governments of the world.
It's not easier.
Extremely wasteful.
It's not easier said than done. Fortunately, I'm a civil engineer. Third year, you do engineering economy. Final year, you do construction management. And postgraduate, you do project management as part of whatever engineering discipline you do. And I mean, doing my postgraduate at University of Surrey in the UK, a little bit of project management, value for money. In Ghana here, A lot of projects are overpriced because it's inherent. They know that they are not going to be paid. Why do you budget for a project when you know there is no money? I believe in living within our means as a party and that as a person. And I think the time is ripe for politicians to look Ghanaians in the eye and say, look, this year we're not going to do new projects. We're going to finish all the old projects and maintain what we have. We don't have a maintenance culture. I mean, it hurts me as a civil engineer. I see a road that has been relaid. 3 years, a small pothole develops, nobody touches it. After 2 rains, the whole place is disintegrated, and you need now to award a fresh contract. With engineering, the investment in infrastructure, if you don't back it with systemic maintenance, and then also get the contractors tied to a defect liability period. You know, if you don't enforce that defect liability, the contractor will do a shoddy job. But if he knows that you fix in a 3-year defect liability, he would make sure there's quality control, there's quality assurance. And the engineers, my colleagues, we have to begin to ask them questions. You know, it's easy to just leave everything on the head of the politicians. But if you go to the assemblies, we are supposed to have works engineers who should run, and they are the front line deliverers of service. You know, so there's a lot of work to be done in this country. That's why I'm very passionate about urban regeneration. Evans, walking around the country, we've had an election over a year. There are still banners of the last election. You know,
that's a sign of indiscipline I was referring to you. But you say Ghanaians are very disciplined.
No, it's not that. You see, it is the officialdom. You see, the assembly system has been bastardized. I'm very worried about it because they are the frontliners. They have to give service to us. Most of the services they have to deliver is engineering based, whether it is roads, housing, water supply, waste management. Most of it is civil engineering based. And now, as we sit here in my office, the ring road across, on the other side is a different assembly. On this side is Koliklote. I mean, we've partitioned, as I said, we've balkanized the assemblies in this country to a point where Accra has about, 19 to 21 assemblies, when it used to be Accra Tema metropolitan area. Perhaps they could have insulated engineering management from political control. But when we are doing a drain, or you want to design storm drainage, it is what we call basin wide. It has to be the whole Odor basin, which rivers and water bodies are feeding to the Odor. It has to be planned holistically. So if you have some DCEs who are turf crazy, you know, then who looks after these projects? Because it traverses maybe 10 constituencies or 10 districts. So these are all systemic things that I intend to fix when I become president. You know, and I've been saying some of these things. You know, at the end of the day, the green cover. You know, we engineers, we like. For instance, because I did environmental engineering, I want the green cover, the sustainability of the environment. If you go to the digital maps of Accra, from 1900, 1950, coming up to now, almost 67% of our green cover has been wiped off. As you do that, and now people complain about floods. Because if you pour water on this hard surface, 100% of it will run off. If it is green grass, it will percolate first. It has to get saturated before you get any runoff. So all these are little detailed engineering things that I expect my colleagues to advise the politicians. And quite recently, I was the executive director of the Ghana Institution of Engineering. I said, it's not any excuse enough to lay the blame at the doorstep of the politicians alone. If you're an engineer, make sure you document your advice. And if the one who's supposed to take the final advice decides to ignore it, at least you can always show it up. This is what I said. On the
same subject of disciplining government and value for money, you say you want to run a 19 ministers cabinet. In fact, that is the constitutional prescription.
That's right.
And want to do an equivalent of deputies.
I have reconfigured the ministries. I have the list. If you want it, I'll give it to you.
I was coming. That was my specific question.
I've reconfigured it.
I wanted to narrow down to the exact number that you want to work with.
19.
Because you have 19.
19.
But you have deputy ministers
19.
Of 19, so that takes you 38.
Yes.
And then you have 16 regional ministers. That brings you to 54.
Yes.
So you're going to be working with 54 ministers.
Yes.
Well,
I think the
current president is doing just shy of 60 now.
Yes.
He has,
I think he heard me when I was campaigning in 2023.
You're not suggesting he copied you,
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
but that's not what you're suggesting. It's just coincidence. You're saying directly.
I'm not saying because he's
your good friend John Mahama.
My good friend John Mahama, when he was in government,
steal his idea.
Oh, what's wrong with using a good idea? But we should not. There's nothing wrong with using a good idea.
There isn't. Just for the record.
I have been preaching for small government. I have an interview with Kwesi Pratt, 2015, when I was General Secretary, and I said the same thing. Yeah. So it's not as if it's new.
Yeah. The fact that you said in the past is factual. What I want to clear for the avoidance of doubt is a suggestion that John Mahama simply took your idea and
why
made
not?
it his.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think he was inspired by what I said. He has not been able to match it, but he's come quite close.
You must applaud him.
But he has spoiled it by...
what most in the Fourth Republic have never done.
I think he has spoiled it by appointing an equal number of government advisors to the presidency. And you have to look at the detail. The devil is in the detail. I mean, look at the budget that goes to the Jubilee House these days. It's about 3 times what Akufo-Addo's government used to do. So at the end of the day, if you are having a presidential advisor who have the same pecs like a minister, then you're not getting it. And that's why I said in my statement, I said genuinely downsized government. It has to be genuine. It shouldn't be populist. Very genuine. We need to be effective and efficient as a government machinery that delivers to the satisfaction of the Ghanaian people.
Cabinet ministers, which ministries are these?
You want us to go through it?
Yes, you must have it.
I must have it.
You are an engineer. Engineers are very precise. You attack issues.
No. That is not the problem.
Precision. I mean, you must know who your 19 ministries
Of course,
are.
I do. I do. All the 19?
Yeah.
I can. Look, let me tell you something. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
You must
For instance, I have it. There's trade and industry, which has always been there. I mean, there are certain ministries that never change. Justice, which is Attorney General, never changes. Interior. I've been against even the nomenclature change, the name changes. Energy should be energy. If you want to strengthen green transition, that should happen with what you do at the ministry. It doesn't have to be the name change. I remember in my time, President Kufuor had information orientation, and I used to have a few arguments with him. Mr. President, information, if you want to change national orientation, let's give the money to NCCE to activate that. Agriculture is agriculture. I don't think there should be fisheries outside agriculture. You understand? So we collapse those things. Works, in fact, public works and housing. When we say works, it's works. When we say transport, I mean aviation, ports and harbors and railways all collapse into transport. Okay. You understand? So,
but roads were different?
Roads, because it's the central spine of our development. So it is roads and only roads and highways out of transport that I will still maintain. But aviation, ports and harbors, railways, all have to be under transport. Health never changes. It's health. Defense is there. Interior is there. Tourism is there. You understand? So all these things...
You keep the tourism minister in cabinet.
It's a very important one.
Why?
I think that it is the one that
can be run by a department.
No, not at all. Tourism is critical. There are about 15 countries in the world, like Tunisia, like Morocco, like Costa Rica. They live off tourism. They have nothing apart from tourism. You understand? And we have a 550 shoreline listed with forts and castles of historical heritage and importance. And it's something we've not been able to create a story around and sell. I mean, even if you go to the Independence Square and then the Ajete, the Castle Junction, we should tell a solid story around it. You can do a proper Accra tour. It generates jobs. Hospitality is one area that can take up the teeming population. So I want to look at tourism very differently. If Even locally, do we do local tourism? We don't.
You do sports?
Sports will come to the presidency. I would do what Nkrumah did and what General Agyepong.
So sports ministry.
No. Education should take youth. Normally, it should take youth and sports.
Okay.
Because sports is really at the school level. But I will isolate sports at the presidency because I think it is time for us to bring the passion back to sports. If you look at what we are doing now, our football locally has collapsed. Clubs are not able to pay their players well. The society does not patronize the games because we've broken the link between the community and the football teams. You know, if you look at the premiership right now in Ghana, you can identify maybe 2 or 3 that are community linked. But in times past, every region had 2 teams, you know. So if you are in Accra, you know, the Ga people in Gamashi, Hasufuk. The Gas going to Labadi, Tishinungwa, Olympics. You go to Cape Coast, the Fanti Abontwa, dwarfs. The immigrants, Kujualata and the rest, they are vipers. The same thing with Sekandi. Wise was for the Hunter people. And Hazakis for those who come and work in the harbor, Mr. Nati and the rest. We had something that was beautiful around this country. But now, most of our football teams are individual clubs. You don't even know where they are based. If they mention the name, you can't even tell where it is. But the premiership that everybody worships today, every team is a town-based. Whether it's Manchester or Barcelona, it's the name of a town. People identify with it. And look at the way Ghanaians identify with the National Science and Maths quiz. That is the kind of love we need to show to our clubs. You know. And so when I was a young man in Kumasi, Kotoko playing Cornerstone, you look at the Cornerstone lineup, you see Ademu from the north, Ademu Danjuma. You see Tetegoleku, who is an Ewe. You see Akwetama, who is a Ga. You see Epson, who is a Fanti. Everybody, and Corners were training at Fanti Newtown. You know, so all the immigrants in Kumasi were supporting Corners. And then the indigenous Ashantis, Asante Kotoko. So it was beautiful. And there was a strong organic link between society and the football teams. And that's why the stadium was always packed. You know, you are in church and then you are getting itchy because it's 12 and the priest hasn't finished preaching. But you want to go to the stadium to watch a great football game. So this is something that, as president, I'll be deliberate about, you know, engage the stakeholders and see how we can go back to basics and do what worked for our country. So
which ministries will you be scrapping? If you look at the way we have restructured our ministry over the years. Some of them...
I've told you about it. Transport, railways and all those things. They are going. Is there fisheries still?
Yeah, fisheries still.
Fisheries should go.
Communications? And you know the communications
and
then we have information.
That has always been an issue.
Yeah.
Of course, with me, because I was press secretary to the president, ministers of information were always having issues with me. Information and communication, and there's communication technology now. So communication really takes care of communication technology. And I think that the presidency, as they've done it now, should have someone who is in charge of the government communications. They've called it government spokesperson. President Kufuor called me press secretary to the president. It's the same job, or presidential spokesperson. So I think that for me is a good one.
Okay, so you would keep the communications because of the wider interests of the ICT,
the communication infrastructure. Yeah, so that one is communication.
But information,
I think it shouldn't be. Yeah, that should be run from the presidency. You know, that's what I feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you also then say that you're limiting the Supreme Court judges to 11.
Yes.
But what is the scientific basis?
It doesn't have to be.
What's the rationale behind it?
What is the rationale for it being 20 now?
Well, as you know, our Supreme Court, in terms of the jurisdiction, is so wide.
It shouldn't be.
And they are so packed in terms of the workload that they simply need that.
It shouldn't be. I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be one. I haven't looked at it.
So how do you arrive at it?
I arrived at it because I talked to a few of my friends who are former presidents of the Ghana Bar, and we think that the Supreme Court with 11 And then I'll remove the age cap.
So why?
I'll remove the age cap.
I'll come to the age.
Yeah.
Wwhy is it not 12 but 11? Because the 11 is precise.
Yes.
Why 11
because
and
the
not?
Supreme Court should always be odd number.
Why is it not 13?
I prefer. That is me. That's Kwabena Agyepong. That is me. I think, we are a small country, 35 million people. Supreme Court judges are well catered for. And especially now, when they go on retirement, they're retirement on full salary. So once you replace them, and he's on retirement, it's double whammy to the public treasury. We are paying for a new Supreme Court judge and paying for one who is retired. We don't have the money. There should be fiscal prudence and discipline. We've got to cut our coat according to the size of cloth available to us. Evans, I'm sure you are paid well by multimedia, but at least you look at what you are given, and then you know where you stay, and then you manage yourself. We have run a deficit budget for umpteen years. We start off by saying that this is how much we are going to spend, but when we look at how much we are going to generate, there's always a big deficit. The time has come for we, the politicians, to look the Ghanaians in the eye and say, look, this year, we want to balance our budget. We want to balance our budget.
Yeah,
the reasons
the
are,
judiciary is not one you touch, do you?
No,
I mean,
we are not touching the judiciary. I'm just saying that.
You want to reduce 11 because you want to be prudent.
Yes, that is the target. You can't reduce it. You can't
cut cost.
I'm saying that right now, if I become president, if somebody retires, and now they are about what, 21? I'm not sure. If somebody retires, I will replace and try and get it back to my target of 11. And that's why I've blamed those of us who operate the Constitution, not the Constitution. People try to say this is the Ghanaian Constitution. I think it's a good fit. But the presidents sometimes overreach themselves. At the end of the day, if you believe it, even without changing the Constitution, once there's a vacancy, you can leave it. And I believe that lawyers, like wine, they mature and get better with time. I mean, I know a lot of the former Supreme Court judges. I know them personally. Auntie Georgina Wood, Yeboah is like a big brother to me. I see him very often. He's very strong. Why should he not be working? Why should we be paying him and he's doing no work? Why? We are not a rich country. So I think...
These are his benefits.
No, I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming the system.
The system, yes.
I'm saying that he should have been working. Still achieved that.
That's why you are lifting the retirement.
Yes, I think that they should go till such time that medically they are unfit to work.
Let me ask you a question.
And that will reduce the opportunities for presidents who want to pack the court with their favorites.
Because when they retire, it gives them an opportunity to put somebody there.
When there's a vacancy. But now there are so many opportunities for vacancies. The one turns 70. And with Mahama, he didn't even wait for a vacancy. He's appointed 7 more because there's no cap. 7 more justices to the Supreme Court. And you are the same president, my good friend, who was telling us in opposition that Nana Addo was packing the court. So I was thinking that you allow people to retire and not fill it so that we reduce the cost to the Ghanaian taxpayer. Not only there. I mean, there are areas that he has tinkered with. I'm grossly unhappy. Especially the security service.
I'll come to the security service, but let me ask you a question about the Supreme Court and the judiciary.
Yeah.
I mean, your proposals are pretty bold. To keep it at 11, the numbers, and then 70, remove the retirement age.
That's right.
Would your father approve?
My father was a workaholic, those who know him. And of course, he wasn't on the bench for too long. But I'm sure he will approve this.
Well, what makes you so sure?
I know him. Your
father would have agreed for you if he had gone to the Supreme Court to let him work till he drops.
Yes, you should work till you drop. In fact, most people, when you continue to work, you don't drop early. I've seen a lot of my friends, especially the security services, especially the police, the senior officers, they drop off very quickly when they go on retirement. Because I think they are a bit pampered.
You know what you're actually suggesting is, because if you reduce it to 11, then there is more work for a small number of judges to do.
Why should there be more work? Because if it is not a constitutional...
The jurisdictional issues I talked about.
They can handle it. They can handle it.
And then you say you get more work for a small group.
It's not more work.
Because there's a work that like 18 people are doing.
This is a constitutional court.
That's true. But except that, our circumstances is that they hear almost every case.
which is not what they should be doing.
So you want to be reviewing that too?
That's right. They should do that. They should do that. It's a constitutional court. And up to the appeal court should deal with civil issues, you know, unless in the view of the Chief Justice, something really deserves the attention of the Supreme Court. And they have the capacity to make those judgments, you know. So I think that 11 is good. And they can sit 5, sit 7,
11
sit 9.
will then work till they drop.
Yes, till you are incapable of working.
Basically, that means when you work till you can't do it anymore.
Well, till they come and tell you, Mr. President, I think now I
doubt
cannot.
very much that your dad would be happy with you, suggesting that you want him to basically, if he had gone there, work till he simply says, I can't work anymore. You must give room for them to simply retire when they want to.
No, they can scale back their work, but not to fully retire. They can scale. Look, there's a man who was a senior principal quantity surveyor, who took very good care of me when my dad died. He's about 86 now. He's still around. And, you know, I think it is because he does little consultancies, it's kept him, you know. So it's good that even in your old age, you have something little to do that keeps your brain working. The brain is like a muscle. You know, I'm having some pains in my shoulder because these days I've not been pumping iron because of the campaign. You know?
Yeah. Let's talk about your first intervention.
Yeah.
Which I think is at the heart of a lot of our problems, land reforms.
That's right.
Streamline land title registration.
Yeah.
This sounds like a broken record, I must put to you. As long as I've been alive, I've always had land title registration digitalization. There's been several iterations of projects that have been funded by our donors to do that nobody had managed to crack after many decades. After
throwing a lot of millions of dollars
at it.
I do not understand
so
why.
How is
I am determined
to do this differently?
I'm determined to do this. And yesterday, something very interesting happened. You know, when I was going to deliver my 6-point plan, I just looked at graphic and the headline. I had planned to give them a copy of my speech because they are the national newspaper beforehand. I forgot. And then I see 98% of lands cannot be titled, cannot be registered. And I said, how did it? The coincidence was so striking. That this was #1 on my 6-point plan. Because I think our land administration has been shambolic, to say the least. It's been shambolic. And someone has to take it by the scruff of the neck and be deliberate about it and be determined. That is where a lot of our problems are in this country. Investments, I mean, the court system has been choked. In fact, they have dedicated land courts which still cannot do much. I'm told that the last time we were close to 35,000 cases in court. Some have been there for 20, 30 years. Is that how we've got to do something? I am determined to do something about it and going to be very deliberate about it. I've got to sit them down.
What's that something you want to do about it?
Well, you see, even imposing order and discipline is something. In Ghana, what we don't do well enough is we don't punish people at the top when there are issues. Do you understand? If there are 1 or 2 issues where people have bought their land, they are going to get a title, and they get there and somebody else has a title to a land that somebody else has bought. So who are the officers? Who is in charge of land registration? Who is in charge of lands commission? Have you ever had somebody being punished, sanctioned? That is what is hurting this country. We've got to hire and fire, you know, and hold people at the highest level. Look at the Galamsey thing. Have you ever heard anybody from Forestry Commission being punished? Who gave those licenses for people to enter our forest reserves? It must have been signed by some chief executive. What about the Minerals Commission? These are state institutions that we should rebuild. And we've got to hold people responsible. And once we do that, look at what happened at LWAC Stadium. Did you hear anybody being sanctioned publicly? I mean, who organized this thing? That you know you want 4,000 people. How do you come up with what? 15, 20,000 people crammed into the LWAC Stadium for 6 people to die? No minister accepts responsibility. The CDS didn't accept responsibility. I don't know which section of the army was in charge. Or, you know, somebody should be punished. And that it sends a good signal. The next person who occupies that office knows that I have to be on the watch. I have to make sure my lieutenants do the right thing. But in Ghana, they will go down and look for the small officer and punish, and not punish from the top. President Agyepong will change that significantly. You know, so a lot of it is not what new you do, but it's the attitude. From 1983 that we went to the IMF, the soldiers came in, structural adjustment program, FinSAP, we've implemented HIPIG, I can't even SAP 1, SAP 2. It is not the policies. It is we the people, we are the problem. And I'm prepared to fix it. We the people are the problem.
Then that is Kwabena Agyepong. I'm going to take a break. When I return, he's now told us his big ideas with the 6 pillars. I want to focus a bit more about the party he wants to lead, exclusively about the party he's seeking to lead. I'll talk about his delegates, his real vision for the party. He's told you the big picture, which is the national picture. But what about the party itself? Because the party is not in a good place. And I dare say it's never been this low. This is rock bottom for the NPP. Whoever wins this will have a monumental challenge. Is he up for that task? Or ask him that one return for this break. Stay with me. Thank you very much for staying with us. My guest is still Kwabena Agyepong. He is a presidential hopeful and is seeking to lead the NPP into the 2028 elections and beyond. But he's going to have a tough time if he wins this particular primary, because the party has hit rock bottom. And that is where you find the great elephant.
That's right.
It's not only been pushed into the bush, it's possibly been trampled. And just the imagery of an elephant being trampled, it's very hard to imagine. But the reality is, where you've been after 2024 has been catastrophic. Do you appreciate the extent of the problem, the nature of the beast that the NPP has become and that needs saving? Have you fully grasped it?
I do. I mean, I was there right from the onset, so I know the values that really animated the formation of our party, and I know how far we've departed from those values. And that's the more reason why I believe I'm the most viable candidate.
What is wrong with the NPP now? What really is? Have you diagnosed this? I know the party sent a team around and did their own work, but you have insights about this party that few people have because of your affinity and how you've been. Look at the pictures here. You've been with almost everybody who founded the party. You've sat with them, you've drunk with them, you've talked with them, etc. What's your own take on what really is the problem with the NPP?
I think we've lost what I call the triple S. That spirit of service, that spirit of sacrifice, that spirit of voluntarism, the togetherness, that collegial mentality that we used to have, all for one, one for all. We've lost that. And we've become too individualistic. People now think that they are more important than the elephant. I am a product of this elephant, and I respect the party and its symbol. And I think the party is far more important than any individual in it. And so I think it is time for us to rebuild that field. That is the reason why a lot of people believe that Kwabena Agyepong is the one. By winning, merely by winning, we send a strong message to Ghana that it's not all about money. It's not all about materialism.
Has it all been about the money recently for the NPP?
Of course. I mean, you've been following the
in
campaign.
Government or out of government?
You've been following the campaign and people bragging about the monies they've spent and that kind of stuff. That was not the measure.
Money makes the world go round.
We know that.
Money pays the bills at the NPP headquarters.
We know that. But we can never, our political tradition, and also this country, we should never be ruled by money. We should be ruled by merit. We should be ruled by merit. And the day we succumb to that because there are bills to be paid, and therefore whoever pays the piper runs the room, then we are heading towards, collapse.
We actually collapsed. Maybe it could collapse in 2024.
Oh, no. I don't think you can entirely say that. This vehicle is a very strong vehicle. At the end of the day, we have...
Wasn't 2024 rock bottom?
Wasn't what?
Wasn't 2024 rock bottom?
It was. I mean, that's the lowest, well, I mean, I would say, in recent times, you know, moving from 169, 137, and under 90 seats. You know, so there's a full grasp of the situation that we are in, which means drastic measures. When you're in a situation like that, we need drastic measures.
Let me hear you. What are these drastic measures? I've heard a lot of people bandy about things they want to do. What's yours? What are your drastic measures?
All I'm trying to do is that the party people, they have an opportunity to change the narrative and the future of our party by putting in place somebody who, by his own conduct, has given his life to this tradition and is someone who delivers when given assignments. So it is important that we recognize that values matter, character matters. You understand? Dedication and loyalty and all the things I've been through in this party. I've never turned my back on my party. I've never spoken a bad word about my party. When we show such love and respect for the party, that is when it will snowball to the general population. We have senior characters on national television insulting each other, calling themselves names, and at the end of the day, there are 5 of us, only one can be president. So whoever emerges, and if you've called the person names, how are you going to sell him to the Ghanaian people? And that is why I'm advising the general delegates that if they want a united, cohesive front, then KAA, I'm going to be the glue to hold it together. Because I've worked with all the leaders of our party, from Dubois, Kufuor, Akufo-Addo, Bawumia. When I lost the election in 2023, I was the first to conduct an interview, I think, with Joy. And I said to them, when people were making noises, threatening to leave the party, showdowns and other things, I said, this is not the ilk of the MPP. In 1992, a lot of us supported Dr. Safo-Addo for obvious reasons. But when Professor Dubois won, we all rallied behind him. In 1998, I led Akufo-Addo's campaign. When we lost to Mr. Kufuor in Sunyani, I supported Kufuor's campaign to the extent that when he became president, he found it good enough to appoint me as his press secretary for close to 6 years. So that shows you the beauty of unity and the fact that the record of our political tradition, when we have a contest and it's over, all of us, genuine patriots of our party, we are supposed to support the one that has been elected with all our gusto. It's important we do that. And that is why I think...
Why isn't that a given?
It's not a given. I mean, if you look at... It's not. Look at what is happening now. Some of the things that have been spoken. Evans, in my very honest opinion, red lines have been crossed.
Really? Such as? Give me an example.
I don't want to go into that. What is important is all of us are in Ghana. We watch the social media. We watch candidates attack each other. Have you heard me do so? No. Because I think you can sell yourself, sell your project, sell your vision without being caustic or vitriolic. You know, the kind of vitriol that we are seeing being poured out now. I know, what, was it tomorrow we're going to sign some unity pact?
Yeah, the peace pact. Are you signing?
I'm going to sign, but I'm worried.
About?
I'm worried because words have been said that cannot be taken back. And especially when you go deep into family issues, you know, it becomes very difficult to reconcile. And that's why I'm advising the party delegates. They want a really, truly harmonious party. The most viable option clearly has to be Kwabena Agyepong.
So let's come back to the point you made about the signing part. You have concerns, but you are signing.
Yes. No. The signing is one, I think, for all of us to accept the results. And I think so far, I have to be honest with myself, there's no perfect election. But I can say with a level of comfort that the Presidential Elections Committee has gone according to the plan I put in place first in 2015. Because I've always wanted party officers to to detach themselves from electoral process, especially when so many of them have openly come out to identify with some of the candidates. Now, you cannot be giving custody of watch over the process. You know, so in 2015, when I was General Secretary, I went personally to see IGP Alassane and said, Mr. Alassane, you are head of the police service. The police has a duty to secure the whole of our country, and we are going to have an election. I want to put security in your hands. We'll be able to support you with a few stipends for your officers around the country. We're going to set up 277 or so polling centers around the country. I did the same with the Electoral Commission, went to them, gave them the register. In fact, they printed the register. They printed the ballot. I didn't care. I didn't want to get involved in who prints it. I just paid for it as a party. And I think the current committee have followed that signal, and they are doing same. So that we don't want to see regional chairmen or national officers try and go and, you know, push themselves about in polling stations. When polls open, all of us, whether you're a former general secretary like myself, or a former president, or a former chairman, or a current polling station executive, you become a voter. You walk into the polling area, you go and see the polling officers who have been put in place by the Electoral Commission. These are staff of the Electoral Commission or officials of the Electoral Commission. And I think that when that is done, and we've been allowed agents so that we watch the sorting, because that's where a lot of underhand dealings can happen, but we hope it doesn't. I do hope that when the results are declared, all of us,
some of your other contenders with this peace pact have raised, provided conditions. They said, we'll sign, but the process needs to be free and fair, because it won't mean anything if it turns out it's not. What they sign on to won't mean anything. And so for them, the condition must be, yes, you're signing, but you better ensure that at the end of the day, the process, when polls close at 2 p.m., I believe it's...
Which process are we talking about here? Because
the election itself.
The election itself.
Yes, the election itself.
I think that short of people coming to cause confusion and mayhem at a particular polling station, you just have to go and be orderly in a queue, take your turn, vote, and walk away. Every one of us has been given an opportunity to have 2 agents, okay, so that they can at least monitor what is happening. And I do hope that nothing happens to spoil this. We can't take any more hits, as you said, you know, as a political party. And I'm hoping that I win, but like I said, in elections you have to be objective. You have to prepare yourself for either outcome, and I hope that...
So you're prepared for defeat?
Of course, you have to. You have to be emotionally prepared.
I mean, that seems to back those who say, why is Kwabena Agyepong even in this? There's no way in God's beautiful earth that you win this election.
I'm happy you mentioned God, and I'm going to tell you this. God is going to deliver a miracle, and you, Evans, I'll be in your studio. I'll be in your studio.
The miracle will be you winning the primary.
I'm saying God is going to deliver a miracle.
How?
You know, at the end of the day, people haven't voted. So how do you know who is going to vote? How do you know? When you sleep at night, between the time you go off and the morning you wake up, do you know what happened?
No.
You don't. We don't own ourselves. I'm a very divine character.
But this is an election. It's very scientific. People have preferences. You have a history you need to look at.
Who has preferences? Ghanaians, people look at you and tell you the truth that they are going to vote Mr. A. How do you know they are lying to you?
The same delegates, majority of them really, in the last...
You remember in Tamale, I was the one responsible for fear delegates?
Yes.
I have a deep, deep root in this political tradition. There are people who believe in my philosophy. They've seen my body of work from 1992. It won't count for nothing. So, but at the end of the day, like I said, I believe in the choice of the majority. My work is done when I've delivered my message, in which I capped it yesterday with my 6-point plan. I hope to God it touches the hearts of our delegates.
You know in your heart
that what?
That you're not going to win this election.
No, I don't know who is going to win. No, you can never tell.
It's true, you don't know who's
When I was going to Tamale, nobody gave me a chance. In fact, I was in 37 the whole of the week, 2 elections. I won on my hospital bed. The incumbent, Sir John, supported by candidate Akufo-Addo and the rest, and all the... I flattened them completely in Tamale. So you will never know.
That party that you led as the General Secretary is not the party of today. You know this.
I'm saying that...
The party is gone.
We are... No.
You say the party has lost its soul. You said it.
But it's a battle for the soul of the party.
So the party that has lost its soul can be the party that you led back then when the values were still alive. So that comparison...
But at the end of the day, do you know who's going to win?
2026.
I'm asking you a question.
I don't.
So...
You don't, but I don't know.
All of us don't know. One thing you are sure is that I won't win.
That you know it's not going to be you.
I know. I haven't said that. I'm very confident quietly. And I think the party is poised to deliver the biggest upset in the history of this tradition. People are listening to me. My message is going down there. They want a reliable candidate who can carry credibility with the Ghanaian people, who can inspire the youth of our country. It is not all about slogans and shouting and talk. Character matters. They have the feel of me as press secretary to President Kufuor without blemish in my close to 6 years of work in the presidency. I didn't go grabbing state lands or building up my real estate. They know I mean what I say. My word is my bond. The party people know that. They have felt me before. It was under my watch we won 169 seats. I left office after we had done almost all the primaries without hearing a pin drop because of the equity, the frankness, the honesty with which we organized the primaries. That was the first time we had 169. So for me, the choice is for the delegates. I don't know what they would do. I hope, and I know, I've resonated positively. I've gotten calls, but you cannot say that that will translate into votes. But let's wait for the day.
Something I've been meaning to ask you, in the lead up to the 2024 elections, you got very close to the vice president, who then was a candidate. You almost everywhere he went. I saw you. You sat with him when the tragedy in the party. You were the guy who was next to him in the shots. I don't know, I've forgotten which tragedy it was, but I think one of your members had passed and you had gone to commiserate. I think it was an accident. And almost everywhere he went. And everyone was wondering, where did Kwabena Agyepong come from, and all of a sudden you're front and center with him? But here's a question for me.
Let me tell you one thing. Maybe it's because of what I've been through as a young person. The trauma I suffered losing my dad very early at 20 years. I'm someone who gyrates towards underdogs. When I say underdogs, when everybody's under pressure, I want to support the person. And I didn't take it kindly to the attacks he was enduring after we've had a primary. We've had a primary. Some had been ministers in the government with him for 6, 7 years or so. Some were chairmen of boards. I had nothing in the 8 years. I hadn't complained. So you don't lose an election and then all of a sudden all hell should break loose about our political party. So I chose to support him. He didn't have to ask me. He didn't. He's alive, you can ask him. I didn't attach any strings. I spoke to just one friend, a common friend, and said, look, I want to go and see Mahmoud. I want to help him. I want the party people to know that we can support our own. He's been elected. He should be given that love that everybody deserves. But that was that electoral cycle. Supported him around the country. December 7, it wasn't to be. Our party always conducts elections. And I believe that if you are a true and a genuine patriot, when someone is elected, everybody's political ambitions and egos should take a back.
I mean, for those who observed, it looked like he trusted you too. when you doing the campaign at the
Trusted
time?
me with what?
I mean, the fact that he was...
No, people tend to say too much. I mean, I don't want to get into the details, but I offered every support.
And he accepted the offer?
Yes, why not? I offered every support.
And it wasn't private, it was very public, because you were doing all the...
I mean, you can see the picture here.
Yes.
Mahmoud is a good guy. He's a good friend. We talk and all that.
So
it does not mean...
Why are you challenging him? Why are you contesting
I'm not challenging him. We are all
contesting?
Contesting. I'm not contesting him. Please, don't say it. I'm not.
There's
in his
only
way.
one price.
He's in my way, if I should say so. But anyway, Evans, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we are Democrats. I respect him intensely. He's a good person. He's a nice person. He respects me, and that's how it should be. And let's wish ourselves well. I don't know who the party will choose. I'm asking them to guarantee ourselves victory in 2028. If they choose me, I give this party a new lease of life. I wasn't part of the last government. You know, so people are prepared to give you maybe the benefit of the doubt. A little bit sympathy vote, because I was also orchestrated out of office, sidelined for 10 years, 2015, 2025. It's only by God's grace that today I sit in front of you. I mean, there are some who were on national television lying to the whole country that I had orchestrated the death of our chairman Adams. But I gave everything to God. You know, so for me, I think it's an opportunity for the...
How are you drawing those lessons for this campaign?
Well, just be strong spiritually. And when your heart is clean and it's white like the color here, and you know you haven't done anything, you have clean conscience, pure motives. My doctor keeps saying that your pressure is still not bad. I say, oh, I take a few pills from time to time, you know. But at my age, I think I'm fit enough, I'm strong enough, and I'm thankful to God and the Methodist Church, because when you grow up, you realize that the church is a useful one. When you're young, you're a bit, you know. At the end of the day, it is about our country, Ghana. I believe in service for the common good, and I'm worried about the trajectory of this country. I think right now, both my party, MPP, and our country, Ghana, stands in urgent need of renewal, regeneration, and rejuvenation. Especially the youth, the young ones. You see, their mindset is being twisted about service to our country. Because for them, the examples they are seeing is all materialism. You know, so I'm worried about that. If God will give me the strength and energy to survive another 10 years, I want to do this to be able to imbibe in the younger generation those values that I hold dear to my heart. Service to society, you know, absolutely vital. And we can rebuild our country.
When it came to Bama, you said Bama is a good man.
Yes.
Can you say the same about Kwabena Agyepong?
You want me to say about everybody?
I mean, just wondering. I mean,
you want to create a headline?
We have been told that they are the two front runners.
You want to create a headline?
No, I'm just curious. You were very forthright about Bamia's goodness. I'm just wondering.
Yes, because I was close to him and I know who he is.
You say you work with everybody, all the candidates.
Yes,
I mean, would you say the same about Kennedy?
You want me to say the same about everybody?
I don't know what you want to say. Actually, I'm just simply asking.
Let's talk about my campaign.
It's a curiosity.
Let's talk about my campaign.
It's your campaign.
Let's
but you
talk
remember
about
that
my campaign.
This is a contest.
Yes.
So people
but I'm not in the business.
Evaluating.
I'm not like some of our colleagues who run down other aspirants. I'm not going to run anybody down.
But you know, you've been a press secretary, you've been a journalist. It's a simple question.
Yeah.
If you had not said, follow-ups.
I understand, but I'm not obliged to answer your question.
You're not, but I must ask the question nonetheless.
It's good. They say there's never a bad question.
Exactly.
Only bad answers.
But would you say the same about Kennedy?
Let's talk about something else. That's what I would say to you.
Why don't you want to talk about Kennedy?
It's a personal position I've taken.
Okay. But that says a lot. Again, I'm returning to... This is a conversation with a journalist.
It's a personal.
It's
a personal thing, and I don't think nobody should take it away from me. I have blood running through my veins.
I'm saying again now. This is a journalist talking to a journalist. The fact that you didn't hesitate to be complimentary of him.
Yeah.
But when it came to Kennedy, you said, "I'm holding my peace." That's a lot. That's an answer.
When he was asked whether he would support any of us, I think it was one of the radio stations, that whether he support any of us when he went. He said no comment. He said no comment. And so
you're returning the favor?
If he's not prepared to respect the decision of the majority of our party, you know, so that's what he said. This is not me saying it. That's what he said. So, but anyway, I mean, this is my platform.
Would you campaign? Would you? That's true. We spent more than an hour.
Let me campaign to my people.
That's true.
Let's talk.
We've gone to
We've
gone to your 6 pillars. We've talked about your vision for the party. Final one on this. Would you support him if he wins?
Evans.
Would you support him if he wins?
That question, you know that.
If he wins.
I'm saying that you know me, Kwabena Agyepong, and I've given you about 4 different instances. I supported Dr. Safud, but when Eduboahen won, I, Kwabena Agyepong, I sacrificed to be the face and voice of the MPP in those days when it was life-threatening to be identified with the party. So once the party decides, the party has decided.
If it's Kennedy, you
once the party decides, I don't even want to identify any person by name. And that's why I said, look, I supported
you did
Bawumia.
You did it, Bawumia.
Yes, not because of Bawumia himself, because of the party. Of course, when I got close to him, he's a nice character, we crack jokes and all that. But it is not because of, when he was vice president, was I a part of his office? No. You understand? But I respect the majority decision from our delegates. Once they had elected him, I think every genuine patriot who believes in this political tradition, who wants to revive our fortunes, should stop excuses. Because I believe of the 5, and I said this somewhere, of the 5, I'm the only one who did not participate in the last administration. At least all of them were given an opportunity to serve.
So you haven't been tainted by the failures?
I haven't said that. I'm saying that even the kind of envelope of resources that are available to you, because you didn't have the opportunity to give contracts to people or to help people. So, you know, so it puts you in a position of disadvantage. But I've not been worried about that. I'm not worried about that. I am a fighter. I'm focused on what I'm doing. I'm campaigning. I'm doing my best. The Almighty God, He looks into the heart of men. And He knows I'm genuine. I'm trying my best.
Is your best enough?
31st will tell. 31st will tell. I am happy to have given of my best to the people of Ghana. I want to be remembered as someone who fought for things to be done properly in Ghana. If it costs me my political career, it does not matter. It doesn't matter at all. I'm not gung-ho about these things. I've been press secretary to the president. I've been general secretary before.
You know, the last time Bawumia got to make a decision about his running mate, your name was there. I remember doing analysis and talking to people in your party. Your name was thrown out there as potential running mate, and we speculated about it for weeks.
Yeah, so you
the some in your party who fed it because they were convinced. We saw the optics. What would you say to those who say Kwabena Agyepong is only in this race to strengthen his case for a running mate if Bawumia wins?
Well, I've heard so many of those stories. I mean, look, the decision as to who becomes running mate lies squarely with the winner. Okay? And it is not for me to decide for him. You understand? Like you said, at the time I was with him, he didn't choose me. I didn't blame him for it.
Were you disappointed?
No, I mean I heard a lot of it, but that was not why I was supporting him. I really wanted us to win. In fact, I told him that I need the victory more than him. He has been vice president for 8 years. I've had nothing. I've not been able to serve my country. So I need us to win this election, Mahmoud. I need it more than you, you know. So that's how I looked at it. And as President Kufuor said some time ago, I want to see my party in power, you know. And because I think that through that, some of these things that I've shared with you, the people of Ghana, even if I'm not the one, the president, I can get the one who is there to change this country. My feeling for transforming this country is very profound. you know, and we need to transform our country. It's like it's on autopilot. You just have to look around.
This country is on autopilot.
Oh, it's on autopilot.
And that takes me to the big national issues.
Yeah.
This country under John Dramani Mahama, with fuel prices at its lowest in a long, long time. Now there's a fight over who can charge and bill as the lowest fuel price. It's a whole debate now about who can go lowest.
Because let me tell you something.
It's an autopilot.
Look, let me tell you something.
The
critical things that have happened.
That low.
Is it that low?
Well, exchange rate is...
It's come down, but it's not that low. I think a country that produces this amount of gold should not be paying more than 5 cedis for $1. I've said it long before. Maybe you haven't followed some of my discussions. Only if they had listened to me in 2022, when it moved to 6, getting to 7, when I cautioned, I came out openly. I came out openly. Because at the end of the day, the way to stabilize the currency is to lock down on the critical sectors of the economy. Petrol.
It's on lockdown now.
Yes, because if you can provide the needs of those who bring it in. I mean, for me, petrol and health, drugs, medicines. If I'm government, I say, look, I'll give it to you 5 cedis to $1. And if I can generate enough dollars to be able to satisfy the demand, that's it. At the end of the day, the petroleum, the calculation is based on that 1 to 5, or now 1 to 10, or 1 to 12. So if you just allow it to spiral out of control like we saw under ourselves, which I complained about in 2022, that our chances of winning in 2024 were being damaged by that. You understand? So for me, look, there are other intangibles that we should see in this country. Change in this country. That's why I talk about the urban environment, which the sprawling urban settlements which have become slums, chaotic. That's not how we should live in a capital. That's not how we should live. And these are things that we can change. It won't cost us too much money. It's proper planning and talking, being human about it, and going in a phased manner. You cannot have a country where everywhere you drive around there are uncompleted roads and projects. How is it? So as a civil engineer, it worries me. So who are the technical people who are advising our ministers?
It's a historical problem. But even you would give John Mahama some credit, a good friend of yours,
yes,
of the work he's done in the last 1 year.
I wouldn't say so.
You wouldn't give him credit?
No, I wouldn't say. No, see, please. The important things to me is governance.
Yes, but his
I saw him assault the judiciary by removing the Chief Justice unjustifiably. And for me, that is more important than anything, because the judiciary is our last bastion. And to use frivolous excuses, and in fact, they said it during opposition. And to come and implement it shocked me. I thought he would never do that. For a Chief Justice to be removed, there has to be something very grave. I haven't seen anything like that. And now they are on to the chair of the Electoral Commission. You know, so for me, and then the removal of the 20 generals in the army. That was a cause for national security. You know, so we need to build state institutions. We need to strengthen state institutions. And we shouldn't unduly over-politicize our state institutions. There are certain state entities that need to be protected. Technical areas. I mean, when I went to highways as a young civil engineer, you want to work hard, you're motivated because one day you are aiming to be chief executive. You don't want to sit there and a political hack is brought in to supervise your work. That's a lot of things that politicians have done and have doused the fire in the Ghanaian professional. And we should stop that, and we should call it out. It doesn't matter whether it happened under MPP or NDC, it is wrong. Kolebu, Konfanoche, what does that got to do with politics? You know, Even if the president under Article 71 has the authority to appoint these heads of state institutions, you have to do so with a lot of balance. You understand? So you want to appoint somebody to head Kolebu, you know they are seasoned professors, and you don't go and pick somebody who is by far their junior to come and say, hey, you are chief executive of an institution. You know, when we used to go to school, all the clever guys did medicine. These are the most brilliant people. Okay, you demotivate them. I mean, VRA, ECG, GNPC, you know, they are people who, since school, have built the institutional capacity, and they know their work, and they should be encouraged to shine as Ghanaians.
Let me ask,
if we reduce everything to politics, and we think is a way of rewarding people, and we don't appoint people who would earn the respect of the establishment, we work to demotivate the workforce.
just before we wrap up, something that happened yesterday and has been playing out the last few weeks, I need to get your reaction to. A stalwart of your party served you, Finance Minister Kenneth Oyata, was before the courts yesterday in the USA. Considering the fact that he served in your party as your finance minister for that long, what do you make of his predicaments? How does it reflect on the values that you
I feel very sad. I feel very sad, and it's difficult to sometimes understand what is happening, because, you know, a finance minister is a very major position, and it doesn't tell on us all well when the whole world is being told that our finance minister is not prepared to come home. You know, I don't know the details, but like I said, I find it very sad. That's why I want to encourage all politicians that power is transient. Let's go and act in the best interest of our people. And so therefore, when, you know, time is up for you to account for your stewardship, there won't be issues such as this, you know, because things happen like this. Is the immediate family that I worry about, you know. Like I said, I lost my dad when I was very young, so I don't think about him, I think about his children. I don't know, I feel how they feel, the wife and all that. That is what I feel.
Did you have the courage to watch yesterday a lot of...
No, I didn't watch. I don't do that. I don't do that. I can't watch to bring tears into my eyes. Okay. He was not exactly my friend per se, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm the last person to kick people when they're on the ground. And as I told you much earlier, I gyrate towards people who are under pressure. And that's why I came out openly against the special prosecutor when he issued the first police, whatever it was.
Interpol regulators.
Yes, because I felt that was completely irresponsible. Because if you haven't charged the person, you haven't sent the person to court, and people have been tried in absentia. So what is this obsession? You know, is it that you want to physically bring him, humiliate him, and all? How do we benefit? And again, I keep telling those in power now, you have a big responsibility. Focus on what you're doing. Deliver it for the Ghanaian people. I'm not saying that when people have misconducted themselves, you can't, but you can't chase everybody. You look too far behind, you lose your future. You may punish one or two senior people to send a strong signal to even your own government that we don't want anybody tinkering with the public treasury. You know, but this obsession with let's punish.
Would you advise him to voluntarily return?
If I had it here,
you would have told him to.
Yes. I mean, what he's been through has already been hurtful for me as a person.
So he should simply come back.
Yeah.
Return.
Whatever happens, happens. You know, whatever happens, happens. Because I don't see him as a person. I see him as a father who has children who are hurting because of this international embarrassment. And once I place myself that way, then I feel it. That's me.
Kwabena Agyepong, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
And all the best.
Thank you.
All the best. And that is Kwabena Agyepong. He is one seeking to lead the NPP. We wish him all the best. Enjoy the rest of the evening.